for the purpose of discussing the source of the funds to make up the shortfall and expenses versus income. Randy had put together an option, but certainly we have the right to change that. Because when we approved the budget, we specifically did not approve any change to the millage rate or anything like that. So we've got the funds that we can draw from. And you know, Randy, has there been any additional stuff that you want to say before we?
Additional? No.
Okay.
I think I've sent it all through in person or emails. I have nothing additional.
I know in one of the emails you said that, you know, we had talked about a millage rate increase of 1.7. So you said this may not be enough, but as of today, your recommendation is still that amount?
Minimum 1.76. Minimum.
With those other funds coming from the reserve, so you're not making a different recommendation to millage rate?
That's right. Basically, to fund the approved budget, I need a certain amount of money in taxes, and that equals the 1.76.
I just didn't know if you were recommending something higher than that in this meeting today.
I'm recommending 1.76 at a minimum, but knowing we got $1 million, possibly $1 million expense coming this fiscal year, that's not funded at all. You know,
that's the radios.
That's the TETRA radio system. The board's going to hear that on August 1st.
Does that include the 911 CAD system?
No, that is an addition.
That's what I thought.
That's an addition. The 911 telephone and CAD is in this budget, and so far it looks like we're right on the money. But what I'm concerned about is when you hear Teresa's report on August 1st, he's going to say he needs about $1 million, preliminary numbers, to enhance the TETRA radio system for 911. But Diverse Power, the owner of the system, may cost share, may not. We don't know. We'll know the 18th of July. So if 1.76 mils funds this approved budget, where's the extra $1 million for the TETRA system coming?
And when is the meeting with Diverse Power? It's
July the 18th. And that will be we're going to hear from the TUSA Consulting on the staff level. That is not a public meeting to go and see if Diverse Power is willing to help us and what they're willing to do, if any. But then the full board's going to hear the presentation from the consultant on August 1st with Diverse Power in the room and to all the parties concerned.
Is it a benefit to Diverse Power?
In some aspects, part of it yes, part of it no. So, and that's what we're.
Negative to Diverse Power.
No, I don't think so. To improve their system for our benefit, but it can. I think part of it can be for their benefit also. That's the part we need to figure out and drill down and see if they'll cost share in that. But again, 1.76 mils covers this budget, but we're hitting all reserves pretty hard in addition to that. And this $1 million that's coming, it's not in the budget, it's not funded. That concerns me. And Clint has generated some numbers this afternoon that I thought was interesting. Basically, if we keep hitting the reserves with what we're doing, he did an analysis for cash flow purposes. And if you'd like to hear that, Clint, you want to do your?
I think that's part of this.
It is part of it.
We need to be aware of not only what we need to do now, but looking ahead.
That's right. But we're looking ahead this year. Long story short, this year I think we're okay for cash flow purposes. Next year, even at the 1.76,
I think next year we're gonna have some problems. Clint, you wanna do your spiel?
Yes, so
You
Randy
have-
and I started discussing about the cash flow issues, so I looked for 2018, for the remainder of this year. I think we're okay because we brought some CDs, we liquidated some CDs and brought those back. And so I think we're okay for the immediate fiscal year 18 term as far as cash flow. Moving forward from that, at the 1.76.
Question before you go forward, you say we're okay, and these CDs will then permanently be cashed in, or will there be it's just a timing issue and we will be reinvesting it?
Well, last year's cash flow, we had an issue because they were locked up in these CDs. We couldn't go and grab them. They were there for a year, we couldn't grab those amounts. Since then, several have matured. When I say several, 8 to 10, I think that have come in and matured. And so
And how much money is that?
that was roughly, they were $250,000 a piece, so. Over $1 billion.
Two
$2
and a half.
billion, so.
But all of those were counted in fund balance.
They were in fund balance, yes, but they
Yeah,
were,
but they're
but
just
where they were.
available.
they weren't available cash at the time. This year they are, and when they're coming in, what we've discussed is moving those to Georgia Fund One as an investment tool.
We
That
couldn't get in
is
24 hours.
That is still a liquid available funds, yes. So for this year, for 18, I think we're okay. But at the 1.76, beyond that, we start running into cash flow issues again. When I'm looking at our unrestricted fund balance,
Do we have a copy of that?
I'll kind of walk through it. But what we talked about the other day, or at our last meeting that we talked about, was $24 million of general fund expenditures on the budget. And we want 3 months of working capital for that. So that number is about $6 million. We want to maintain $6 million of,
To have cash flow.
to have cash, to maintain cash flow for payroll, for projects, for everything that we've got going on. Well, at the,
How much do, in your audit, of your audit for 2016, how much do we have to borrow last year to make payroll and normal expenses?
285,000 from solid.
So we ran out of money last year in 2016, that was 2 years ago. We ran out of money and we couldn't pay normal operating expenses, so we had to go temporarily borrow from the solid waste fund. I want to avoid that for this year, and I think we can this year, but next year, probably not. And this handout we're giving you is an auditor's way of thinking. It's not a budget person's way of thinking.
May we
So-
get, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'll be sure.
So let me kind of walk you through what this sheet shows. So what I did is at the top, I took our cash and investments as they stand today. I backed out any of the due to, due froms between here, and those are what we call our liquid or available assets. All right, to get to our unrestricted fund balance number that we know is good for fiscal year 2016, I had to back out the liabilities that included your compensated absences, your landfill capital leases, your pension, all those types of things. So in the middle of the page, under the black line, the 9.6 unrestricted fund balance number for the general fund that you guys have already seen, plus the 4.7 in solid waste over here. All right, then we get to, these are unaudited numbers, so fiscal year 2017, the fiscal year just ended, I've got an estimated amount that comes off of that 9.6 of 1.5. The E911 system expenses that Randy's just mentioned, the 1 million, plus we already had 858 in the 2018 budget. Plus the use of reserves that we got in the 18 brings the unrestricted fund balance for general fund down to 4.571 million. Now that's with the 1.76 millage rate increase. That includes that, is where that number falls out at. All right, so to get that 4 million number, we want that number to be somewhere close to 6 million. So to get that number to this $6 million healthy working capital number, we've got to go and take 1.45 from solid waste to get us to that $6 million. Now again, this is at the end of 2018. We're okay for this year, but at the end of 2018, that's where we stand. So then I said, well, let's go down and let's break that down into 0.5 increments of the millage rate. So if the increases were, so if we go down and look in the red down here, if the increase to the millage rate was only 1, that unrestricted fund balance falls down to 3.6 million. All right, that means we've got to go take 2.4 from solid waste, and that only leaves us with 975,000 of fund balance in solid waste to get us to that $6 million we want. And so if you keep going through these, the 2.5 mil number is the number that gets you really close to where you need to be with borrowing the least amount from solid waste that you have. And then anything in the green, so 3 and up, gets you to a working capital number that you don't have to borrow anything from the solid waste fund. But so looking at this, anything below the 2.5, you're gonna have to go back next year, possibly, and look at another millage increase on top of 1.76. And this is looking at a solvency, a cash flow side of things. You know, your fund balance may be where it needs to be, but we need to also remember cash flow when we're looking at these, because we've already seen, like you said, Randy said.
We had to cash in
16.
a couple this year that we didn't just for cash flow purposes.
Right.
It's a timing issue, again,
Right.
we were able to put it back in.
Right, it wasn't an insolvency, we had the assets, they just weren't liquid, they weren't available at the time to make those, so. So again, that's, you know, I've kind of broken it down in the red figures mean, if it's somewhere in there, you're probably gonna have to go back. The yellow's kind of the spot where that kind of puts us in the $6 million range for cash flow purposes. Anything in the green is
And just so
I
we
think we're good moving
understand,
forward.
just so we understand it, so the stuff in red, I mean, this is addressing this current year, but that also, anything in the red, your opinion at this point in time, of course, we don't know what the numbers will come out during the year.
This is all
but-
an
But
estimate.
your opinion at this point in time is anything there, we would then have to probably look at another millage increase for the next fiscal year.
I believe so.
The yellow would probably be okay and might not have to do any adjustment to the millage rate. And any of them up in the green should produce some excess funds. Maybe.
Maybe.
I was
I
gonna
wouldn't go as
say
far as
that.
excess, but it
Yeah.
would get to break
You-
even.
You
at that
know,
point.
yeah, but it's, okay. But we might well not have to at least increase the millage again, depending on what we have.
Yes.
Do we have a sheet or tell me of the balances in these various accounts that we're going to be drawing from, what the balances are before we consider taking anything out? I didn't know what,
It's in here. I believe.
That's that this morning, you get that?
Yeah, that's what Clint just gave you, the balance of general
Okay,
fund
yeah.
and solid
The
waste.
general and solid waste.
yeah, I was talking about
Oh,
But the
all of
others.
them.
But the others,
Talking about the others.
we've been talking about pulling stuff.
That like
from
jail
water
fund?
Right, yeah, all
fund.
those, I didn't know we had them just in one place.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the budget doesn't include fund balances.
No, but what I'm looking at is, depending on what the millage rate is, as to how much we've got to draw out. So I wanted to see what the balances are before we consider drawing anything out, so we'll know. how we're
Well,
going.
I mean, the general fund is, 5.8, solid waste 5.6, the jail fund is exhausted, there is no more to
Jail-
help.
The jail fund is exhausted if we take down the,
Well, we already budgeted 620,000 out, that's basically it.
That was for the
jail fund.
Yeah, and that was for the things that we talked about.
Right.
But
That's
for
right.
them, for their budget.
Right.
So basically, the jail fund is exhausted with the 620,000. There's a solid waste, there's a general, and Waterworks has about 3 million in it, and we're taking 300,000 out of it. So that's basically all the funds that are available to use.
So as we look at the jail fund now, we can count that out. That's gone.
95%, it's not, yeah, but but it keeps coming every month.
Right,
But
but it
I'm not-
still is not.
But
It'll be
I think,
eligible next year.
I think we have 500,000 in there, more or less, give or take, and we're gonna earn some more next year. I'm taking all 620,000 out.
Right.
There might be 20,000 left in there when all the dust settles, maybe. Eh. So you can't go to, you can't go to jail fund anymore. 5.6 for solid waste, 5.8 for general, and about 3 million from Waterworks, of which we're gonna use 300,000. So there's your availability.
And that is including no increases, no employee benefits, and it doesn't include the increase, that $100,000 that having added 4 deputies is going to cost that year.
That's all in here.
That is all, that is
It's
in
in
the
there.
2017-18.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I'm sorry, 18-19.
You're talking about next year.
Next year.
Yeah, next year, because you're gonna be, basically, if you did 300,000, 320 some thousand employee benefits, if you do that again, and $100,000 more than you had originally, than for what we're doing for 17-18, because we have extra deputies, and that's 425,000 we've got to come up with, or we've got to cut some next year.
Basically, the expenses in this budget will just continue on.
Yeah.
It won't be any additional,
Well, employee would be an addition.
Employee will
As
be,
there's,
yeah, it just continues.
yeah,
yeah, but
Well,
but you're going to
it's
have,
any additional
potentially
funds.
could go up.
the sheriff's only salary is included. Vehicle expenses are not, which are about $25,000 a year per car. I would imagine, since they drive $50,000.
Oh, so yeah, for next year, for example,
Yeah.
will be 5 additional cars.
Yeah.
That's right, for $200,000, give or take. Yeah.
but that's already in the budget.
For this year.
For this year.
But then next year will be new expenses
Another car.
of 5 more cars and
But some-
whatever.
Yeah.
And the way I understand it right now, our focus is 18-19, is what we're talking about.
Next year,
Yes,
yeah, because,
our biggest focus.
yes, I think this year, for the next 12 months, we'll be,
We're okay.
we're okay at the 1.76 minimum, 1.76. The $1 million for Tetra is a little dicey right now. We could split over 2 years. That depends on how fast we want to get those projects done. I think for public safety, we would want to hurry get it done. But again, it could be split $500,000 here, $500,000 next year. But next year,
That's basically.
this analysis looks like we're heading down,
Right.
we're calling it our CDs, and then we're spending them.
Right.
I mean,
Have you checked yet, Randy? Can the community center debt be used to that? Can we do a SPOS for that?
okay. My opinion is no, but I've asked the attorney for his opinion.
Please do.
Um,
Or you have asked.
I have asked him several times, and because that's an integral part. That's like $600,000 a year.
Right.
The way, my managerial opinion, but this is all legal questions. From my point of view, the SPLOST law on its face says you can't have a SPLOST to repay existing revenue bond debt or authority debt. It's very specific, revenue bond and authority debt. But you can pay existing general obligation debt. So, And the community center, is both a revenue bond, the way I see it, and it's issued by the Public Improvement Authority. So I think it meets both categories from the SPLOST law. But laws are weird and crazy,
I'd like to know the answer to that.
and me too. And that's been asked by the county attorney.
So the question then is, if you look at the 1.76, would be okay this year? Do we want to bite off more than that in hopes of avoiding another millage increase next year? Or certainly minimizing it if it does come about? And yet we have not agreed on the 1.76 either, so that's,
It's just a working.
I think really the purpose of this is to try and understand where we are, pockets of money that we do have that we can pull from, and what are the consequences, both plus and minus, of taking X amount from each one of those funds, as well as any change in the millage rate.
Randy, I know it's in the book, but can you quickly tell me, we're gonna take $300,000 from Waterworks, that's been proposed. And solid waste, we're gonna take what, 1.5?
Correct. 300,000 from Waterworks, 1.5 from solid waste. Yes.
And general fund, we're gonna take.
1.676 million.
All right, thank you. And the general fund balance was 5.
0.8. And so, again, I have to stress, these use of waterworks, solid waste, and general fund, these reserves, that is assuming every department spends their exact budget. And all the revenues come in exactly. But if there's less expenses, for example, and more revenue, those are two good things. So we might not need all those. But these are numbers to balance the budget, assuming the expenses were right on the money at 100%, and revenues came in as expected.
And nothing unexpected comes up here in the
Nothing weird happens.
year. Has that ever happened?
No, it's weird every day. Assuming nothing weird happens, no unforeseen events happen. But again, what if revenues just came in more than expected? Well, we would need some of these transfers. Or if the expenses were less than expected, we wouldn't need all of this. Some of it maybe, but not all of it. So,
What percentage of collections are we using as a budget figure?
for taxes, I'm using 95%. But
What's our usual amount collected?
for the first year,
Percentage collected?
I don't know. I have to go look. But it's pretty good. I mean, we don't have a lot from the 16 taxes. We don't have maybe.
A lot of
No, maybe
delinquents.
200, 250 that's not paid, I think. But I don't know the dollar amount.
That's a pretty good
Yeah,
percentage.
yeah,
But-
it's pretty good.
So
but
if we
then,
have 90
but then the year that it's due, I always budget 95, because then the next year, it goes to 96, and then the third year, 98, and the fourth year, 99. So, but for this budget, I'm estimating a 95% collection rate. But now, on Wayne's 5-year history,
Yeah,
that represents 100%
yeah.
collection rate. Also, I factored in loss due to property taxpayer appeals that Wayne might lose.
We have about 200 of them,
Correct.
Appeals right now.
which is not a lot.
We
but-
certainly don't wanna get in a position in Muskogee County, so right now, if anybody's seen the paper today,
It's kind of crazy. So this is 34% down here, 2017. Talk about that line right there.
All that is simply a percentage increase in the amount of taxes that we would collect over what we collected last year, assuming 100% taxes. It's simply taking that 2016 number and looking at it versus the 2017 number.
So 34% is very healthy
It is,
and more than we've seen in the last 6 years.
absolutely.
And so if we had 100% collection, we'd have 2.5 million more dollars there
That's correct.
than we budgeted plus 5%. You see what I'm saying? We budgeted 95%.
Right. Which is 9.6 million.
Yeah,
Wayne has 10 million.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's 100%, you back down 5%, you back down, loss due to
Yeah, we
taxpayer
don't need to
appeals,
do-
and we're down
We
to
don't need to do
9.6.
100%, I understand that. But I was just saying, at least there is some turnaround in the digest going up.
Okay, right, but now, let's assume there's no millage rate increase. Let's assume that. Basically, no millage rate increase would generate naturally $309,000. That's not, and that's not
Well, I'm
bad.
not talking about no millage rate increase, I'm just looking at the improvement in the digest over 1 year. And I'm always an optimist. It could be that the digest would improve in 18 to the point where we wouldn't be as in bad shape as you're projecting today. But, you know, that's just looking, making sure the glass is half full
Probably
and not
will,
half empty.
because there's several new subdivisions
That's
that,
right. So,
are being built, but yeah, it's,
I mean, we're still shaky, but we could be more solid than we anticipate being.
With not knowing what's coming up, I heard yesterday that the state is looking to change out all the voting machines in the state before the next election.
And they'll make us pay per hour.
Well, they say, oh, we'd like for the federal government to pay some. Sure, I mean, it's cost me.
I mean, we'll have expenses we haven't even thought about yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But we also won't have things like the big 911 expense.
yeah.
So we hope.
It's a one-time shot.
That's a one-time thing for right now, so that, you know, this.
And you won't have the new software for our financial analysis and whatnot, because that'll be taken care of during this coming
Well, of course, there'll be.
But
some
you always
other
have
expenses.
some of those
Yeah,
things,
there are
and then
always
you got
some
other
new
ones.
coming up,
year. It's unfortunate that
sheriff's.
our backs are against the wall on the CAD and phone system out of 911, because that certainly should have been something that was addressed earlier, that we could
And then a SPOS.
have gotten into it.
This is a capital.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that those kinds of things, the oversights of what should have been in the SPOS was really what's gotten us to this point. And we just got to hold our breaths and hold our noses till we work out of that and
Yep.
try to do a better job of.
Are there any other things that you know of and got to deal with? I'm just looking at the board, for example,
Yeah.
record stores, they're just
This
ditches.
was a brainstorming from staff for the, you know, hey guys, what would you want to see in the next SPLOST? An aerial flight, you know, for the GIS system. Our flight is 2007.
Our last flight?
Yeah.
No, our last flight was
Uh-huh.
2013.
2013. So maybe an aerial flight in the next 6 years, you know, water lines, ambulances, the courthouse renovation. Courthouse needs some TLC. Road paving, of course, sheriff's office cars, bridge improvements, record storage, old library renovations, allocation to the cities, of course, and jail addition. So that's what was brainstormed, you know, in about 10 minutes with the staff.
A lot of those are really kind of continuing things. The sheriff's cars, if the SPLOST passes and it's in there, then that's 5 cars a year, you know, $150,000 or so.
Comes out of this.
A year
That's
that
right.
comes out of the budget,
Right.
and that would be in the SPLOST, so.
And that's why I think we have to be very cautious about a millage rate increase at this point that really turns the public's against us.
Yes.
Because the SPOS, getting that passed next year is so critical
Absolutely.
to our being.
Not only that, we're also gonna have to have some projects that appeal
That's right.
to
The
those,
people-
and, that's right.
So we might just have to sit tight on the 1.7, which people are gonna just think that is outrageous. And try to get the SPOS passed so that we can get some of these things off of our general fund plate. Because if you go too high, they may express their,
Yeah.
themselves as a ballot box on SPOS, and then we're in worse shape than we are now.
And this SPOS runs through March of 19.
Correct.
The current one.
Yes.
Currently.
It is March 2019, and this afternoon did a timeline. If we go to referendum on May the 22nd, 2018, we would have to start advertising in February. But before you can advertise, you gotta sit down with all the cities
Of
and do it.
18,
Of 18.
is that what we said in our planning session?
Yeah.
May of 18.
May of 18.
Yeah.
But to do there's a tremendous amount of work to do, and there's all kind of advertising requirements. So the advertising would have to be done in February, because the May 22nd election, I found out, is a major general primary. Governor, lieutenant governor, every state rep, state senator, every cabinet level, attorney general, one senator. That's a major general primary on May 22nd, which forces us to go and advertise in February. But to advertise in February, you gotta have all the intergovernmental agreements ready and all the distribution formulas agreed upon by all the 5 cities. And so basically, when I backed it all up,
You gotta start.
we have to start now. And my proposal will be emailed to everybody on Friday as a beginning point for discussion. Proposal for discussion. Sets out the timeframes and schedules and all that good stuff.
How much money does the SPOS bring in 5 years? What's it bringing in?
I'm proposing 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years.
I'm estimating 15 million, 2.5 a year. It's slightly higher than we're getting now, but I'm expecting some natural growth between 2019 and 2025.
What percentage growth is that?
From like 202,000 a month to 205, no, 208. 202 now a month to 208.
So 72,000 a year.
So, beginning in 2019,
What percentage?
I don't know.
I can calculate it.
202 to 208,
yeah, roughly 208.
3%, 2 to 3%.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
but I mean, because if you look on, my admin report has all these figures, and the SPOS has been flat for the last 4 years. I mean, very flat.
I mean, you could comfortably do 5 and know that you probably get 3 or 5,
Yeah.
but 2 to 3, that's.
But the virtue of having an intergovernmental agreement with all the 5 cities, no matter how much you collect, you go for the whole time period.
Sure.
So there's no penalty. And my percentages are based on population. They were not based on population last time. So that benefits the county, not the cities. And this we can just start discussing.
Actually, some of them were economic development and roads in West Point and pay off the public safety building in Pine Mountain and rec in whatever they call it. Went all into the city.
And, those are things that'll come in when you talk to the cities, like the recreation and whatever you call it. Purchase that land between the two. Probably the owner of Martinez State knows.
In your conversations with Jeff and Ronnie, where the funds are that we're proposing to take something, what have been the comments there? Did we put anything in jeopardy there? Just for this next year?
I don't think so.
But any additional mines?
Yeah, certainly the solid waste came about because we were trying to plan ahead with capital coming in so that if the garbage truck went down, we didn't have to put off purchasing one because we'd have the money to do so. And I think that's proven to be a wise thing to do. Jeff is, you know, he most graciously takes his and uses it for water projects as he has the need for it, or it seems like it's reasonable to do. In addition to what was in the SPOS, he's using his funds for that. Jeff, I don't know, of course, now this, you're talking about going to the meters that are read without having to.
The radio read, yes.
Radio read, now, what, that's gonna cost
That's
roughly how much?
$1.5 million, of which we will probably be able to get, like $250,000 in grant, but that still leaves me $1.25 million. And y'all remember we had some rehab work at the filter plant 2 years ago, unexpected. We spent about $300,000, so.
It goes to those kind of things, so other than the grant, then the rest of it would come out of this fund.
And we got these other projects, 219 passing lane projects, we know 27's coming, but the 300.
Moving the utilities is what you're
That's
trying
right,
to do.
but the 300,000 I think is reasonable, and I told Mr. Randy, the waterworks has not paid its fair share for the administration and the parts of the county that the county general fund pays. This is paying us up, so to speak, and then we'll establish a number from here forward, a yearly, in all fairness.
But it'll be minimal from going forward,
Yes.
or not 300,000.
No.
Yeah.
I figure about 20 or 25, but that's just me figuring.
Okay.
But I know what Robin did down there.
Yeah, this, I wanna look at them, make sure on that side too, that we don't put something else in jeopardy. Well, I'm certainly sensitive to those who are concerned about going up too high. Because there is a lot at stake here. You know, and certainly, yeah, we all hate to even have to go up on it at all. It's been so long since we have, it's spoiled us and spoiled the citizens as well.
Well, because of just general public apathy, people aren't paying attention, and so all they're going to know is when they get their tax bill, oh my goodness. And they, you know, they haven't engaged in these conversations, so they will not have heard it.
Yep.
And they will not want to hear it at that point. So I think we may need to make a concerted effort to get the information out to the public. I know our meetings are public, but,
Yeah, I agree.
between now and then.
I think we do.
I figure between the sheriff's department and employee benefits, we've spent over $650,000 just on that in the last 2 years. That's just.
And speaking of employee benefits, you know, next year, there's another COLA. You know, that's additional expenses. You know, healthcare is not gonna go down, it's gonna go up. But will it go up 5% or 20%? Don't know. So there will be new expenses next year. You know, healthcare and COLAs and,
We'll still have the.
Police cars.
Yeah, we'll still have those.
yeah. And then some of the heavy equipment Caterpillar leases are coming due. So next year, we're gonna have to make decisions on, do we renew the lease and continue the debt payment for 5 or 6 more years? Or do we spend several $100,000 now and buy that equipment and own it? So those kind of decisions are gonna be made.
Yeah, you have to look at the value of the trade-in
Right.
on that, because they so far have been treating us very, very well. every 5-year deal.
And from the revenue side, we don't see any, major businesses coming to generate property taxes. There might be some little things here and there, but nothing to
But we certainly
generate.
need to look at fees,
Mhm.
although that will still generate a minimal amount.
Sure, sure,
Yeah, but it's just part of shoring up the ship.
that's right.
That's,
That's right.
which I think, while we haven't liked to hear it, I think what Clint and Randy have done are helping us really understand even more where we are, kind of how we got there, and paths out of it. And while it's not fun to do, we had a meeting yesterday with Callaway Board of Directors, and basically that's new management down there, kind of going over them where they stand, because they really didn't know it. It was very helpful to know that, and then you can begin to develop plans for moving forward, so.
Are they on firmer footing? And
Yeah, they're making money now. They're doing very well. They redid the golf cart paths over there, paid for that out of operating funds. They're putting $2 to $3 million in refurbishing the rooms, this kind of soft cost in the spa, in the lodge and spa. Next year they're gonna look to doing the conference area with that. So, yeah, they are making money. And it's coming back, and they shared a few of their long-range plans, which are growth-oriented. So
That'll help us on the SWAS.
it may take a while, but it's, they now understand where it is, which is very helpful in it. They have a 5-member board, and Mr. Taylor and Randy and I and Jim Trott, who's Pine Mountain's got to deal with them on the hotel motel tax. We met with them yesterday, and it was a very good meeting. I think it points favorably to the future.
But long story short, this is, I've been here 8.5 months, Clint's been here 4 months. This is our information to give you as best we know it, so the board can make a quality decision. And there's some assumptions here and some estimates.
Yeah. You never know what's gonna happen, you're right, but our employees have been so good about living within their budgets for years. And when they request some things, sometimes we can help them out and do it, and sometimes we just can't. It doesn't make sense to do so, but I feel comfortable from the expense side. They're not gonna overspend unless it's one of those things that just jumps up and bites us.
And I feel confident that every major expense is in this budget.
Yeah, at least the ones that we can
Yeah, the ones
identify and
we
know.
can identify, in last year's budget, they weren't all in there.
We always have the risk, a prisoner could all of a sudden need a heart transplant or something like that, and we gotta pay for it. Well, so I think what Randy is recommending at the bare minimum is the 1.76, which puts us up at the level when we reduced it back 10 years ago. Puts it at that same level.
Basically, it puts us back to 2006 level.
Okay, yeah. It still leaves us in that little red zone at the bottom, somewhere between that 1.5 and the 2 mil increase. Another 300,000.
I just don't think we can dig our way out in 1 year.
Well, I think you're probably right.
But will,
But you,
sorry,
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, will we be able to dig out with a 1.76?
No,
That's,
you're actually gonna end up
that's what worries me.
with having, you're, when you take the money out next year, is you're gonna have to take money out next year. You know that you have, you know, at least like $500,000-600,000 more expenses. Your expenses are gonna increase, what I can see, about $600,000, $600,000 to $700,000 a year, no matter what. So you need to do something to get yourself, at least you're maintaining where you are.
And then growth to help pay for
Yeah.
the increases.
And that is, if you do 1.76 in a county debt service, which is what they do in Troup County, of a half, that still may have to be increased next year.
That's what worries me, is where it will be next year.
I mean, Troup County increased theirs 2%, over 2% this year.
Their millage rate or
Their
their?
millage rate, yeah. And they did away with all their jail, jail,
That's right, they closed their jail, didn't
they closed the prison.
they? Prison.
And what that did was, all those services are eliminated. They're not going to, unless they have, and it's mandatory, they're not going to, do them anymore.
Were they using the inmates the way we do?
They were basically using them the way that we do. And they're going to, I mean, like, they had inmates at the service centers, there's gonna be nobody servicing them, staying there now.
So they eliminated all that expense, but yet they had to increase the village rate because they're
They-
having to
yeah.
hire from the public sector.
Yeah. And I think Meriwether County did it 4 years ago, they increased it, or over the last 4 years, they've increased it over 4%, 4 to 5% of millage rate. I think they were 8 in a piece, 4 years ago.
You think they were 8 4 years ago?
Almost 50%.
I think 3 years ago they were 10, if I remember right, but I think that they had just increased it.
All right, so if this 13.669 is correct for Meriwether, then they've gone up 40 to 50% from 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
5 mills.
5 mills.
I think they were 10 in 2000, and when I looked at it in 3 years ago, they just increased it to 10.
Wayne, I don't know whether it even relates, but all the complaints going on in Muskogee right now. I mean, obviously, the digest has to be approved by the state, and I haven't really stayed that closely informed. I hear comments that, well, the county's doing it, but of course, it has to be approved by the state. Has their value really gone up that much, and were they below it, or
Well,
what's going on down there?
interestingly enough.
That relates to
there-
us.
There are two separate values they have to keep in Muskogee County. They keep a fair market value and they keep a homesteaded value, which is a frozen value. And that's what taxes are generated on. The problems they were having this year was due to the fact that this company came in and did a revaluation over the last couple of years for them. And from what I understand, what I've been hearing, is it's the land portion that has really skyrocketed. And see, in Muskogee County, you can only homestead 2 acres. So anything above 2 acres that you own gets taxed at the current rate. It's not frozen like the 2 acres in your home. So what has happened is people that had above 2 acres, anything above that, has skyrocketed, and that's what they're complaining of now, as the values are going up. they were probably too low from everything that I had seen in the past.
Yeah.
But at the same time, from what I'm hearing, the increases were astronomical, that, 3-acre
It's
tracts.
associated with extra land though, because with
That's
their taxes frozen on the value of the home for,
exactly.
so,
That's
but
right.
it's on the extra
Extra,
acreage that
that's
they pulled
correct.
out of homestead.
That's correct.
For example,
Absolutely.
there was a lady in Midland who said that it was valued at 35,000. She has 5 acres. Hers went to 107,000 value. She had 5 acres.
That's
So
strong.
it's a new evaluation too
What
by
was it
this
for?
firm that came in and did the
35,000. It
assessment.
went from 35,000 to 107,000.
Interestingly enough, I was reading in the newspaper today, the assistant chief appraiser, they were interviewing him for the newspaper, and he mentioned, well, I think my value's too high as well, I'm gonna appeal. So,
Yeah,
I thought, okay.
yeah, I was talking to the guy at the doctor's office today, and he said, my house and where I live is fine. He said, but I own extra acreage that's hunting property and whatnot. And he says, that's killing me. They go
Sure.
up so much.
And see, if they don't have that 10 acres, they can't get under the conservation use. So it's really between that 2 and 10 acres that is where they're
That's where
really
it is.
digging in, hurting those folks in Muskogee County.
Okay.
And speaking of conservation use, is that killing Harris County also?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
We have over 2,000 covenants now, which is fine, they qualify.
Right,
They-
and that's
But
not the
but
issue.
the issue is it reduces taxable amounts
About how
by
many, how much?
Well,
anywhere from
No, but
70 to
total.
90%.
Okay, so a big amount.
A large,
I mean,
large,
are we a couple
The
million or
numbers.
more that is taken out of our digest?
yeah, very easily.
the numbers that I got from your office, one was 1/3 of the county acreage. The acreage, total acreage, I believe, was like 311,000. And there was like 113,000 acres of conservation.
Sure.
And we're getting a lot of, what Mississippi's, they go veterans too.
They just say that.
Moving out too.
There's no leeway as far as that, land and conservation, as far as any decisions, any changes that this bill can make.
Absolutely
It's all
not.
state law.
It's all state law. Absolutely. There's absolutely nothing, unfortunately, that you can do about that. Just to give you an idea, I'm looking at some consolidation sheets for the county exemption part of it. We have, now these are 40% numbers. We have almost 23 million worth of exemption in forest land. Let me see, in conservation use, we have almost $86 million in exemption amount for conservation use. Now, that's the 40% value. So that's not, I mean, you multiply that by 2.5 to get the 100% value off that. So that's strong. That's over 100, you know. That's over 100 million in exemption.
Properties that require no county services.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't do anything about it, we can't do anything about it,
So,
so.
I mean, and it's,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
I
what
was
it
just
is.
curious as to how much it was.
Sure.
Not saying anything.
No,
It's
it's
a
just,
bunch.
but then that's part of quality of life that people want here is a lot of rural land, and that's a downside of it, but yet that's been
Yeah.
something people have expressed through the decades.
Okay, so what do we have stopped for?
So where, that's what I was gonna ask, is where,
What,
where
what
would y'all
don't,
go?
what don't we go below? What level are we comfortable with? Or that's not the right word.
Are we willing to go to 2 or 2.5?
I think that's probably where we have to have the discussion. 2 puts us still in a little bit of iffy situation for next year. 2.5 is, that's iffy too, but if things go well, we would not have to cut into anything next year.
What's interesting is even if we went up 4 mills, we're below all the surrounding counties.
Yeah, and
But that
that's
still
nice to
doesn't
know,
help.
but it's still.
It doesn't help, folks.
Interesting outlook on that.
That's not an issue.
Yeah, and, yeah,
I'll just put it very frankly, I will not vote for anything less. I think we have a fiduciary responsibility.
2.5.
And if we don't do 2.5, we're not doing our fiduciary responsibility. And that still gives you a 25% you're gonna have to increase it to next year.
I don't know that I can vote for anything over 2, because I'm concerned about the SPOS.
And I share those same feelings.
I would put the splash as just strictly things that have to be done, and otherwise, if they aren't done, you will see it in the millage rate for the following year. And that's the reality.
I know that's the reality, but I also know how people vote.
Exactly.
Well,
Whether here or don't here.
If you go to 1.76, you're going to have.
Oh, I'm saying I could go to 2.
Yeah, if you go to 2, you're going to only have about very few, make difference to very few people. You know, you're gonna, a third of the people are gonna think irregardless, if you raise it 1/10 of a mil, that they're dying. I've yet to figure out how in this county, everybody you hear on Facebook has paid more taxes. When, you know, my taxes going down every year. At 1%, but they're going down.
Mine going up a little bit. Don't tell people you're going down.
Right, I understand.
Okay,
And each mill represents how much on an average house?
million, on an average house,
Yeah,
well,
can you figure on
on a
that?
$200,000 house, it was what?
$80 a mill.
It's 80, I'm gonna say $80.
On a $200,000 house.
And that's after with 40%.
That's correct.
So 2 mills is easily $160 increase. What generally, for a $200,000 house, average lot, homestead exemption, about what does that bill run?
Well, the homestead exemption's gonna take away
Yeah.
about $100.
Yeah.
So really, it's,
A couple of thousand.
right,
A
so,
couple thousand.
that's right. So you're looking at a little over 1% if you're raising the millage rate on a $200,000 house. Let's just say 200,000.
What's our average home value?
Actually,
200,000?
it's actually right now about 175, according to my system.
Yeah, the
It-
new home
it is-
built is like 230 or so, 230, 235.
Right, and a lot of the high dollar homes have come down so much over the
Yeah.
last few years. We're still struggling in that market, in the the 400,000 up. And those are the homes that have come down in value. And you'd be amazed at how many of those we have in Harris County. So those are the ones that are struggling still. But at $200,000, if we went up 2 mills, you're looking at for the county portion of it, would be $651. 2 mills on that, of course, is the 160. So, you know, that it's not a tremendous amount of total dollars. The thing is, what's misleading to the public and what they need to be educated about is this dadgum advertisement that we have to put in the newspaper that's required by the state of Georgia, that was passed in the 1999 Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, which states that basically you've got to have a 6x5 notice that says the county governing authority, the Harris County Governing Authority, has proposed a millage rate which will increase the tax rate by X%. Well, what people think, if they see something that says we're going up 30%, they think their taxes are going up 30%. They're not. The taxes aren't going up 30%. The mill rate has increased by that over the rollback rate. So the taxes are just a small percent compared to the small millage rate increase.
Do you have a copy, because you sent us a copy of what was going in the newspaper?
That's right here.
I talked about it.
Yeah.
It's in the handout that I brought.
This one.
And now, this
Okay.
press release
Okay, here's-
can be altered any way.
I want to talk about this right here. But Wayne and Aaron and I talked about this. It says it require an increase in property taxes by 29.15%. Now, are there, and they're gonna see that, and they're gonna say, now, property taxes are increasing by 29%.
That's
That's what
what,
it says.
it's
Well, that's
very
what it says.
misleading. But
That's what I know.
Is this the exact verbiage
this
that
is
has to be
exact
there?
verbiage that comes from the compliance guide that we have to use, that is given to us by the Department of Revenue.
There would be nothing to prevent us, though, for having the Ledger Enquirer print a little article right below it or right next to it. That's what this
What I
is.
always did
Explain-
is-
Okay.
So that's what the purpose for this is for the counties to explain themselves.
Sure.
What I always did was I would send a letter to the editor from me the same time this went, to try to explain it, hoping people would read the letter of the editor as well as this. And it still didn't help, but I felt better.
Well,
I mean, you still had the complaints, but you had that in there that you could refer
unfortunately,
to.
the Ledger only reaches about 1,000 people.
And the journal only reaches
I'm
12.
sorry, the Journal, Harris County Journal.
About 12.
That may be up some. That number may have increased some.
Yeah.
But if you looked at the scheme of things, I just took that same $200,000 house and I ran the taxes, the total taxes, including school and school bond and all of that.
What is it?
If you raised it 2 mills, it says here that, well, if it's 2 mills, it'll be more than
Correct.
29%, it'll be 30-something%. But the taxes are going up 8% on a $200,000 home.
Yeah.
And that was not.
That's, exactly. But there's nothing we can do about this. This is a promulgated form from the Georgia State legislators that we
That's
have.
what we're talking about, it's either a letter to the editor or an article right
What
by.
are the total?
Total taxes,
And I would put that
2136.
information
Yeah.
in there. Although this
2136
states
at,
that's it's referring to millage rate, not
Yeah,
actual tax.
Yeah, that's what's really bad.
yeah.
It is
that's
bad.
it,
That's just
that's
horrible.
.02670, that's going up 2 mils from the 2470 we currently
It
are.
was 21.
It's 2136. Their taxes at the old rate would be 1976. It's a $160 difference.
But
That's
is
that.
that included, that is including the notices we just got, because ours went up over $100.
Well,
Oh, because of the.
now,
refunds.
because of the reappraisal, now that does not include that. That's assuming, all we're doing is just taking a dollar amount, a $200,000 home. We're
Because you got to think,
like they
like they
did.
do.
Sure, absolutely.
we can, we can sit here all day and say.
Absolutely.
Well, we know this and we know that, but like Susan said, they don't know that.
Sure.
And you have to think like they think.
Right, absolutely. And there'll be some, Commissioner Langston, that won't go up that much, because actually some values came down as well. So theirs won't get the total increase that some others will. So we just chose a number and took that and used that difference to show the actual percent that their taxes would go up. So,
And having a handout of public meetings like this would probably.
That would be beneficial too, we'll post it here on the, post agendas. and put it on the
Website.
Website.
which is required now, by the way, to put all this information on your
Well, I'm talking
website.
about our letter
Sure.
explaining the dollars instead of the
Sure.
percent millage. Okay. Well, kind of heard from at least two and a half and two. So,
What about you? What do you think? Ian?
whew. Tough fence to ride. I'd like to see it 2.5 or so, but I understand the other side of it too, and I don't wanna,
Will it make that,
I think we've got a little bit more safety on the county side, even if we stay in the red, because things could work out a little bit better. Oh, is that enough for the public to perceive it as not quite so bad? I don't know. I understand wanting to be in the, at least in the yellow too. I could vote for the yellow, but sometimes you have to vote with what also seems better to go.
I don't know would it make that big a difference to the public as far as, for example, the SPOS, the difference between 2 and 2.5?
I think. It's just my opinion.
If this chart were where the yellow is down 1, and we were talking the difference between 1.5 and 2, we'd be asking, well, would they vote yes at 1.5 and no at 2?
You gotta think like they think.
But what I'm saying is, or my thought is that the citizens are.
Yeah, they are.
Well, the citizens aren't going to see
It's not gonna be,
our deliberations, so is it going to matter 2.5 and 2? But what if with these lines, we were debating 1.5 to 2? Where's the line?
You gotta understand, they don't think like that.
I know, but that's my point, is they're not.
Is it gonna make a difference?
Is it really gonna make a difference with the SPOS? You know, we're dealing with $500,000 here.
And I will tell
And
you that probably 90% of the taxpayers don't even understand what a mill is.
Well, I understand that, but with,
All they understand
us-
is my tax bill. Nancy, thank you.
I
That's
get
all
it.
they understand.
I get it, and I know that, but it's, when we're looking at, we're not debating between 1 and 2. We're debating between 2 and 2.5. So
I think 2 is the breaking point.
well, that's what I'm wondering,
Yeah.
what is, how do we know?
We don't know that. I mean, just in my heart, I think 2 is, but.
Well, I talked to a lot of people all over the county, and I think yes.
You think 2,
The 2.5.
if they didn't know we were discussing, if they thought we were discussing 2.5 and 3 and we decided on 2.5, but people aren't gonna be looking at what we're discussing.
no, they don't know what it is.
And
Will.
you know why? Well, somewhat, but the majority of people. So I don't know where the line is.
I don't know either.
Yeah,
I don't know where it is, and,
It just scared me.
I just know there is a line, there is a breaking point, there is a place
Yeah,
where people say enough, even though we are so low and they've enjoyed that for so long.
that's right.
That's a
We're
figure in
in a
the-
vacuum as far as
That's
any
right,
increases.
exactly,
that's right. And so I don't know where that line is.
No,
Well, I want y'all to tell me where it is.
I wish I did know, because we'd be right under it. But I don't know where that line is. A 2 mil increase is a
is a big jump. In the minds of the public,
Yes.
in my experience.
Yeah.
It's a big jump, even though it's not a lot of money, it's just a big jump. And I understand, you know, just bite the bullet, do it one time, and then we're confident that we can hold that amount.
And where do we, at what point do we have the confidence?
That, yeah.
That's important.
And if we didn't have a SPOS coming up 6 months after they pay their tax bill, I might be
Yeah.
more prepared to
Yeah.
be a little more courageous about it.
If you do two, you're gonna have to take more money out next year. You're gonna have to increase it higher when you do increase it.
But if we get a SPOS pass, and I'm confident we'll get the SPOS pass, I think people understand the SPOS now, I think I'm confident
Like
we'll
what
get
we've
it.
done with it for the
That's
most
right.
part.
It's not a new tax.
That's
And I
right.
think people understand that now.
They do, they understand that. I just don't want to make everybody so mad that there is organized opposition against it. That's when you get in trouble. I mean, people will say, I'm not gonna vote for it, they'll vote for it, or they won't vote. But if you get some organized opposition to it, then you're in trouble. Especially with social media the way it is, where they can reach so many people quickly.
Well, only with accurate information.
Yeah.
Becky, where do you stand?
I would say I absolutely cannot go down.
Okay.
And I don't want to do two.
I understand.
Like any of us want.
Yeah.
Martha,
Martha?
where's your,
I see the need for 2.5 to 3. That's need, that's what concerns me. And looking at the figures that have been provided, we really should go 3, but I think that's too much. I mean, but for fiscal soundness, I think that's the appropriate thing to do. But I don't.
I don't think there's, I don't think, and I don't mean to speak for Becky, but I don't think anybody would dispute that fiscal soundness, that's probably where we ought to be. But the reality,
And that's where I live.
yeah.
I live in reality, so.
Clint and I live in the gray zone.
You need to come out of that.
No, we can't get out of the gray zone.
Can anybody go for 2.25?
And let me throw something else out that I just remembered, the library project. The library project's going quite well. However, in that $5.2 million project, that is committed. We're gonna spend $5.2 million out there when all the dust settles. Well, right now, the donations are $1.2 million of that 5.2. For anything under that amount that's not collected, it might not, I don't know. But anything below that 1.2 million will have to come from the general funds. So what if, I'm just throwing out, just what if donations were 1.2 and they came in at 700,000? Well, that means the general fund has to kick in 300,000 or 400,000 to finish the project.
695. I got another 25,000 yesterday.
I can probably work on that.
Your other thing is, the library is gonna cost another $20,000 to $30,000 a year, starting next year.
And then the library board is gonna take care of those operational expenses, but you know good and well, they're gonna come and ask the board for more utility expenses, more personnel expenses. Well, they were asking for more personnel, and it was, cut.
They've already hit Troop County for it.
See, so you know that's coming down the pike.
Yeah. Which makes the two seem even less significant. I'm afraid of the two mills with what we know we're facing, just with this budget and what we can anticipate coming up. And I'm afraid the position we'll be in next year. As far as we're in a compromise of the 2 and a 4.
Well, let's put a motion on the floor and vote on it.
Can't vote on it.
It's
You
work session.
can't vote on it.
Oh, that's right.
Well, you can't vote, no, it's called, it's a call session, but you can't vote on military.
No, just, I guess, give the staff direction
Yeah.
on what number to stick in there, so we can begin the advertising process.
Based on consensus.
Yeah.
Correct, and keep in mind, you can always adopt a millage rate that is less than what you advertise, but you cannot go over what you advertise. You have to start the advertisements on low.
And the advertising, the proposed advertising right now, that can change. The proposed advertising is, we gotta have 3 public hearings. And the state law is very specific on before noon, after 12, before 6, after 7. So right now it's advertised, it's scheduled for August 1st. Well, it's proposed for August 1st to coincide with commission meetings at 11 o'clock in the morning and then 6:30 p.m. that same day. And then wait 2 weeks, and August 15th at 7 o'clock during the regular commission meeting is this 3rd public hearing and the adoption. All this has to be delivered to the state by September 1st, state deadline. Bills go out October 1st, and they're due December 20.
Okay, I think Harry had asked you a question, because Harry and I had talked about this also, as to, we need to plan, I mean, otherwise there's nobody to talk to if we're not there.
These are public hearings, these are special commission meetings,
Yeah.
and a quorum is needed.
Right.
Just a quorum.
In the past, they have had town hall meetings. A commissioner or two would go to Waverly Hall, let's say, or,
Right.
Wherever they want to hold town hall meetings for the purpose of what we've done with it, what we want to do with it. Because we can't really advertise it.
No.
To go to the 7.9 mills that we seem to have had a consensus was kind of our starting point, is an increase of less than 1/4 of a mil from the 2 mills. I mean, so we really are not going, by saying 2 mills, we're not going up anything appreciable from what we were talking about at 7.9 with our budget figures.
But
We're not, but the
1.78 is
public.
appreciable already.
Yeah, but just saying to go to 2, it's not much more than that. I think to be responsible, I feel like 2.5. If we're gonna deal in half numbers.
We got 2, 2.5.
That's right, that means
So,
you're the
you're the
pivot
break-
vote. You're the swing vote, Harry.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes I'm too much of an optimist, but the fact that the digest increased as much as it did this year, and I feel like the recovery is, this is just the horizon of the recovery, and we're gonna see that continue. That's why I'm hesitant to go to 2.5, why I'm hesitant to think we have to go to 2.5.
because I think that the economy is going to really, I mean, we've already seen an uptick, and I think we need to see more.
Well, I think you're right. I think the economy is, at least for now, is on an upward trend.
But that's
The
not a
economy and
guarantee.
the county are two different things.
No, that's not a guarantee. Well, you see it right there in the difference between 16 and 17.
Remember in October of 2008,
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
You know,
We had,
I remember saying.
For a 2-year recession at that point.
Just for example, the single home building permits, only 5 more than the year before.
yeah.
That's true. It's that flatness that concerns me.
but the more homes we get, the more services we get.
Well, and we've heard that Mike's already applying for another COPS grant.
Oh, yeah.
And if he gets that,
If
that's
he
gonna
gets
require
it,
a MAC.
The
What
first,
is that? Tell me what that is.
it adds deputies,
Federal
and,
funds where you have,
yeah, federal, and they pay, I just remember, they pay the majority of it in year 1 and maybe year
a little bit
2.
less than
But then
2.
it starts going down, and by the end of
The fourth year. we
4
have to-
years,
we're at
then it's
100%.
fully on our budget.
So,
But,
is he not required to come and ask us if we'll pick that up before he does that?
He should.
should,
I don't mean require, I mean, isn't that
He
best
should have.
practice to make sure
Yes.
that the money is there?
they haven't gotten it in the last 10 years they've applied. But the person who brought it to me, and I stress that fact that they should have applied first, and let us know first, said that maybe a possibility they'll use the 4 new slots, they'll use those as these COPS funding. I haven't got that directly from the sheriff, but that's a
It'd be sure
possibility.
nice to hear it from him
Yeah.
in writing.
Yeah.
Don't get it right.
I think I'd go with the 2.5 because 2.5 may put us in a position, has a better chance of putting us in a position that we wouldn't have to increase millage rate next year.
I'm not opposed to advertising it 2.5.
Yeah, and, yeah, I think it would give us some time to noodle it over some more.
Yeah.
Plus, if you wanna tackle longevity, that's another animal to tackle.
I think, yeah.
It's a whole different animal that's not included in any of this, so.
Longevity, that's not gonna float, so not this. All right,
If we advertise at 2.5 and then we end up at 2.25,
That's good.
final vote,
Yeah.
then that,
yeah,
You just can't go.
yeah, and that's the other side of the protection, which will give us a little bit of time to
to adjust.
maybe
some of what
hear
we
what the real numbers from Tucson are gonna be on that program too, and
And whether or not.
whether diverse might pick up something. And if that takes out, puts something in the more certain column, then it could all be ours, maybe that helps us get back there.
So the final decision would be made when at the August 15th meeting.
That's when you'll vote on
All right,
it.
just-
And that will give us an opportunity to hear the public.
Yes,
yeah,
3 times at least, unless you, and you can also do public town hall meetings or whatever.
okay.
So the number is
Consensus is 2.5 to advertise.
2.5.
To advertise.
So it'll go from 6.2. The consensus is 6.14.
8.14, is that what the final, if you add 2.5, is 8.14.
8.64.
8.64. Okay. Advertise, we'll redo this document, send it out tomorrow, and then this notice of tax increase, we'll send that out. And then a new press release to beat that up a little bit, to send that out. And that is the three things to be published?
Along with the rollback rates, your
Yeah.
two rollback sheets.
Your
Yeah.
computer sheets?
Yeah, but that's normal stuff, that,
And then we'll go on August 1st, 11 o'clock in the morning and 6:30 PM, which is a commission meeting time and day. And then August 15th at 7, which is a commission meeting normal day. And then adopted.
one way or the other.
August, first is 11 and at 6.
11 and
6:30.
6:30. In the commission meeting room.
Yeah, in the chambers.
Chamber.
Are there time limits put on, at anything at the public hearing, or is it like the county's current policy of so many 5 minutes per person? And how about per person now? Yeah, okay.
That's really only applicable in public hearings
Okay.
for zonings, as far as I know.
11 and 6:30, is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
11 and 6:30 on the 1st.
So you're
What is
gonna
the
actually have
rollback?
kind of a work session at 6:30, just.
No, it's a public hearing.
What is the
It's a public hearing, goes through.
What is it? Meaning, explain what it,
No. What is, if we took the rollback,
it's like 6.17.
17.
It's, I'll give it to you exactly,
It's
it's,
just like a call meeting. Run just a meeting.
6.117 is the rollback rate. Meaning, in other words, if you didn't want to have any public hearings at all, that's the rate that you would have to adopt to keep from having hearings, because we had some positive revaluation this year. Wasn't a lot, but it was enough that it created.
well, the other years it was the other way around.
Yes, sir, that's correct. So you never had to hold those hearings because it was always going down.
And then interestingly to note, if somebody's gonna make a quick calculation, if they do a calculation of 8.64 divided by 6.14, they're gonna have the wrong calculation. But it's gonna be obvious in the newspaper, 6.14 to 8.64. Well, that's the wrong calculation.
That's right.
You're supposed to calculate the 8.64 to the rollback of 6.117.
Right.
It's a
That's
slight
how you get your
difference.
percentage
Right.
increase of
Right.
rate, because it's above the rollback rate, not of your current millage rate.
Way too complicated for me to understand, or
Absolutely.
me to understand, unless I
And-
sit down and go one step by step.
It doesn't change the bottom line.
I know.
Appreciate all the
15th, you
information,
gonna do
all.
7?
It'll be our regular meeting, just following our regular meeting on the 15th.
Absolutely.
You ready to do a letter to the editor? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you and Harry sign that.
I'll let everybody take a look at it before anything goes out, because it's pretty sensitive. And then I'll be on vacation August 1st and August 15th.
Wayne and I will leave October 1st.
As soon as the bills go out, we're out.
Right.
Can afford all the calls to your office.
We're gonna take 6 months off.
That's-
I don't know if I can find the one that I always sent out,
And we'll do the advertising, put it on the website, put it letters to the editor.
Go in the paper next Thursday, the 20th.
July 20th, and
The
then,
27th,
yeah.
and then also the first Thursday in August, just to be on the safe side. Assuming the newspaper can get everything in the right place.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Because they can't go in the same section where
Cannot
the
go in
legal
the
ads
legal
are. Has to go in the,
Display
The
ad.
regular section.
Have to be certain sizes.
yeah, it has
all
to
that
be
good stuff.
half sheet of paper.
Absolutely.
Times New Roman, 12 point.
And I guess we ought to take out a quarter page for the letter right next to that.
Letter to the editor that is on charge. is what
Yeah.
the Press release will be in
Let's hope
charge.
it gets in.
Yes.
You know, they don't have to put everything in.
Well,
Yeah,
straight to the street. Okay.
to the journal as well, with the
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. If we don't have anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn, or I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?